After viewing a show, you're going to undergo a series of discussions with the young people. You'll start out in small groups, and then I'll move into a big group. So when they start out in their small groups, get them to get their notebooks out and sit with each other and talk about what they've seen in detail. Talk about what it looked like, what it sounded like, and what their impressions were. And they're going to be excited and they're all going to want to say what they thought. So make sure that you float among the groups and you keep on reminding them that we're talking about critical thinking so that it's not just, I thought it was brilliant or I thought it was rubbish. It's this is what I saw. These are the choices that I saw being made. This is what I thought was being attempted by this show. And then this is whether I thought it was successful or not so successful. If you find them using words like it was boring, get them to nail that down. What about it was not engaging? Can you provide a specific example of a passage that you felt did not compel the attention and why? It was brilliant. What about it was brilliant? Is there an actor that sticks out for you? Is it the theme of the play? Was it the use of music? Get them to work on detail and on being capable of describing what they're talking about before they then go on to say what they thought it was doing and whether they thought it was well done. Their notes can be really useful at this point. If they're struggling to find proof for what they're saying, say, well, did you write something down? This is really going to be impressing upon them that evidence in their notebooks is just going to be so important for them in producing quality critical response. You may find that it'll be a useful exercise to just ban words like bad, good, funny, boring for a time to kind of press them to really use more sophisticated language and to be more sophisticated in their thinking about how are they going to arrive at a critical conclusion. So after they've thrown it around in the small groups, bring them all together into a big group, and with you as facilitator, get them to share with each other the outcomes of the discussions in the small groups. And please emphasize to them that when they're talking about a show, even though everybody in the room at that point will most likely have seen it, they need to bear in mind that theater criticism is almost always composed for people that you cannot be guaranteed have been to the show too. If you're going to go read a review in the newspaper, you probably haven't seen the show, you're just curious what it's about. So they need to foreground description, because if their reader or their listener is not going to go what they mean when they say, well, the moment when Christine came in, oh, it was such a surprise. Who's Christine? What moment? What's happening? They need to really proffer descriptions of moments that they're talking about before they then go on to make a comment about what that moment was like and why they thought it worked or didn't work. Some things that you might prompt them about or be aware of as interesting areas of discussion. One thing is thinking about how you talk about acting. There's a big difference from saying that a performance might not have been fully successful and saying that somebody is not a talented actor. We don't have enough evidence after one viewing to talk about the overall talent of a person. That would be making a huge leap, and it's really not responsible criticism. They do have the right to absolutely to say, well, I didn't find that performance very successful. But then the question goes, okay, well, tell us a little bit about that performance. What did it look like? What do you think they were trying to do? Why do you think it wasn't successful? Another key area it's important to think about, the difference between the play as a text and the production on the stage. This is where the work of the director comes in. If the young people are having a particular point of view about a production, you need to get them to think about, well, was that the text that was giving them that impression? They want to make a point about the text, or do they want to make a point about the way the text was interpreted? Being able to extract those two things and talk about them as obviously connected, but two separate elements is really important. And the more that you can work on that, the more effective their criticism will be. A final thing to bear in mind is personal bias. Let's say a young person just is completely opposed to the notion of Shakespeare being done in contemporary dress. If you take them to see a production of Shakespeare that is set in the contemporary, they're going to possibly go in saying, I know I'm not going to like that. So, this is really where critical thinking skills and the power of description come in. If a young person is struggling to get their way through a show that they kind of were resistant to, get them to describe, to really talk about what it looked and sounded like, and to talk about what they understand that the artists are trying to do. And then at the end, they can say how successful they thought it was or wasn't, and at the end of the day, it's not my cup of tea. But you can help them through the problem of those kind of blocks by getting them to take a step back and start with description. So, when you're thinking about outcomes, it's really rewarding for the young people to be able to share their new skills and information about the shows they've seen with others. Is it possible for you to set up a panel discussion with your local theater, or if you're going to a festival, maybe have a panel discussion in the context of the festival? Even if that's not possible, at the end of your workshop, if it would be possible for other members of your youth group, your youth theater, or friends and family to come along to listen to a final presentation, that would be a really nice kind of bookend to the experience. The way that I would recommend handling it is, first of all, let the young people know at the beginning of the experience that you're thinking of doing this, and say to them that, of course, not everybody has to participate if they don't want to, because some young people just don't want to speak in front of a group. I found that it works to say to them, if you don't want to do it, just let me know at some point before the end of our experience together, and they can come up and tell you on their own, and then you just don't involve them, and it's really not a hassle. Um, for those who do want to participate, you can break them up into groups of 3 or 4, of groups, one for each show. That way, a number of young people can participate. That you've got these 3 or 4 students talking about this show. If you've been to see another show, you can get another group to talk about that one. And you can be the facilitator, and you need to lead quite strongly in asking the young people questions. Tell us about the show you saw. What did it look like? Because again, description is so important. Tell us what you think they were trying to do. And did you think it worked? What critical comments do you have to make about it? And I found that it works to maybe have like 10 or 12 minutes of discussion about the show, and then to open it up to comments from the rest of the group who might have seen it and from anybody who might be there watching. And I found that these things really tend to be lively. They're great experience for the young people, giving them confidence in their own voices, in their own capacity to have a critical and educated point of view about a piece of theater. It's a really great experience for them. Beyond the panel discussion and the verbal outcome, there's also the possibility of taking it further and having the young people write reviews of the productions they go to see. And also included in the suite of materials is a document that's kind of a how-to of how to write a theater review.